We cannot have Scandinavian spending, Anglo-Saxon taxes, and Balkan corruption at the same time. Hello there. We have a lot of information to cover, but I think it's important for everyone to understand the fundamentals. So, let's begin with a question. Why do we even need a state? Why should we tolerate a group of lazy bureaucrats who create unnecessary obstacles and take our hard-earned money through taxes, only for politicians to steal it? To differentiate between acceptable and unacceptable actions by the state, it's crucial to understand the purpose behind their interventions. Picture yourself in a stadium, watching a hockey game with no referees or rules. It would likely turn into a chaotic gladiatorial battle. Clearly, not everyone can do as they please without consequences, as that would lead to disorder and chaos. So, it's clear that the state must step in to establish a functioning police force, system of justice, and basic rules to maintain order. Additionally, the state plays a crucial role in regulating trade. Just imagine you're at a market. You might not expect someone like Mother Teresa, who always wanted to help others, to be there selling things. And the people buying stuff aren't really worried about the seller's well-being either. Everyone just chooses what they want and pays for it. The person making the goods earns money, and we get something we want. If no one wants what's being sold, the business closes and another one takes its place. This is called the free market. It helps get things to the people who really want them and rewards those who make good stuff. Even though the free market seems great, it's still important for the government to step in sometimes. The market can be tricky and without rules. Things like one company controlling everything, rich people getting richer while others struggle, and damaging the environment can happen. The government steps in by helping make sure money is shared more fairly and making sure things run smoothly when the market fails. Let's take a closer look at how this works. As regards the redistribution of income, in the past, rulers had a simple method of redistribution. Each subject was expected to give up a portion of their income. This helped cover the costs of extravagant parties, maintaining the palace, keeping mistresses, and funding military campaigns. Whether wealthy or poor, everyone had to contribute to the royal treasury. In modern societies, the approach to income distribution is different. Every individual should be guaranteed at least a minimum living standard. However, the value of money differs for a homeless person compared to someone like Bill Gates. Therefore, redistributing income based on a percentage benefits society as a whole. Market failure. What is that? Let's take the example of pizza and defense. When you eat a pizza, you know that no one else can have the same one, and the person selling it doesn't have to give it to someone who didn't pay for it. But with defense, it's different. The army protects everyone, those who pay for it and those who don't. But if no one pays, the army can't keep going. And if we don't have protection, we could be attacked by aliens. That's why the free market can't provide certain things like defense. Another problem is that the free market doesn't care about things like pollution. It only cares about making money. That's why the government steps in to help or punish these so-called side effects through taxes and concessions. So basically, the question isn't whether the government should get involved, but how much they should be involved. Different countries have different ways of handling this, some with more government involvement than others. For instance, the countries in Northern Europe give out more money equally through their government, sometimes even half of the total income in their economy. Despite this, they still have a strong and thriving economy. On the other hand, the successful model used in Anglo-Saxon countries focuses on limiting government involvement to only what is necessary. Now, let's talk about taxes for a minute. We often agree on what the government should provide for us. But those services don't magically appear out of thin air like gifts from Santa Claus. Nothing in life is truly free. In order to pay for public services, the government needs money from taxes, fees, and other sources. It's a tricky balance to maintain because spending is usually higher than revenue. Some politicians even make promises they can't keep by saying they'll lower taxes and provide amazing services without any cost. But it's like trying to balance a tiny feather with a giant elephant, not very realistic or responsible. What kinds of taxes are there? There are quite a few. The most important one is called general income tax, which has two main rules. It should be efficient and fair. This means taxing things that people can't save on and making sure everyone pays their share. Some countries use a flat tax, where everyone pays the same percent of their income, while others have progressive taxes, where rich people pay more. We also have to pay for things like health insurance, retirement savings, and accidents through contributions. And we pay taxes on things we buy and things we use, like cigarettes or gas. Don't forget about property taxes for houses or cars. And in some countries, even dog owners have to pay a special tax for their pets. Let's tackle three difficult problems that politicians and economists struggle with. What things should we tax and how much? How should taxes be different based on a person's wealth? How much of our spending should come from taxes and how much from borrowing, which will impact future generations? For the first problem, as the finance minister for King Louis XIV once said, we must find a way to take money from people without making them upset. In general, the bigger a country is and the more it helps its citizens, the more taxes it can collect without scaring away wealthy people. It's a good idea to tax things that have negative effects on society, like pollution or smoking. This way, the cost of doing these things will be higher and help fix the problems they cause. Another option is to tax property since it's hard to hide and doesn't directly punish activities or investments. It's important to also tax purchases, like the so-called value-added tax, VAT, or sales tax in the USA. It doesn't target specific activities either. However, the tax rate should not be too much higher than neighboring countries. Otherwise, people may go there to shop instead. The rest of the money needed for resources should come from taxing income. Answering the second question could potentially cause conflicts and even civil wars. It's a tough issue that everyone has strong opinions on, regardless of their political beliefs. And whoever finds the right solution could win the Nobel Prize for Economy. Let's take a look at some of the difficulties that show there are two sides to every situation. For example, lower taxes on essential items like food, medicine, and books might seem like a good idea to help the poor. But it also benefits the wealthy who can afford to buy these items in larger quantities. So instead of reducing taxes, we should focus on increasing support for the most vulnerable individuals. Another issue is the pension system, which tends to favor wealthier individuals and women due to factors such as higher life expectancy and longer receiving pensions. To truly address solidarity, we need to not only consider the tax system, but also examine all areas of public finances carefully. Solving the third problem is complicated. As we all know, taxes are not fun to pay and can create big problems in our society. That's why we need to be careful about how we spend that money. If people see that their taxes aren't being used wisely, they'll try to find ways to avoid paying them. The best way to ensure taxpayers get what they deserve is by making decisions based on facts and using modern methods. Imagine everything around taxes is almost perfect. We have agreed on what the government should provide. Spending is reasonable. The government uses money wisely, and taxes are fair. So, Do you think the budget should always be balanced? The answer is no. This is because the economy doesn't always grow at a steady rate. Sometimes it's good, and other times it's not so good. It's important to save money during the good times for when things are tough. Also, countries often borrow money to invest in things like new roads or buildings that will help our future. This means that our children or grandchildren may have to help pay for these investments in the long run. Sure, that all sounds good in theory, but the real world is a different story. Countries often struggle to find enough resources to cover our needs. Why do governments always seem to have so much debt? Economists have a few theories. The first is called hiding the truth. Politicians use sneaky tricks to keep a large portion of their debt secret from the public. This allows them to spend recklessly, especially right before an election. The second reason is short-sightedness. Politicians usually only focus on their 4-year term, so they don't think about long-term consequences. The third issue is with state-funded resources, like schools and roads. These are seen as good things, but the cost is often pushed onto future generations who haven't been born yet. Politicians can easily live beyond their means, but when a major crisis hits, it becomes a big problem. That's why we need to stop wasting money and control our economy better. Rules and organizations can help us with this. And how do we stay committed? Well, there's a secret to doing that successfully. I'll talk about it later. If you like this video, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up. Thanks for watching until the end. Have a great day.